isn't very good.
Do you want me to record?
No, I'm recording it. So let everyone know they're being recorded. Darren, Sunil,
Yep,
being recorded. So welcome to Bedrock Presents. This is the Power Trainer series with Sunil Kumar, who's nicely pictured at the top right up there. And today we're going to be talking on Power Platform licensing, particularly. So this is something Sunil is an expert in, and he will give you the next for the rest of the hour. He's going to take you through that. Hopefully save you some money. Before we go on to that, though, I just wanted to say, if you are not registered as a bone marrow donor, it's a great thing to do. It doesn't cost you anything. You can save lives. Someone dies every 27 seconds. I think. Yeah, it's on screen. Every 27 seconds, someone's diagnosed with it. Sorry. And if you give blood already, it's kind of a natural next step. If you don't give blood, you can do so. You save lives. It's easy. This is my call for anyone who's thinking about it. Do it. It's you save a life, which is the best thing you can do in the world. That's it. I am going to stop sharing I'm not sharing my screen anyway because I'm doing it a different way. I'm going to go back to the normal camera and then hand over to Sunil. Just to say that I am part of Bedrock Data. We are a tech company that can help you save money and fix your problems. If you're interested, find us on LinkedIn. That's it.
Hey, thank you so much, James. Thank you so much for the quick introduction, and definitely it was worth mentioning the great cause you mentioned here. Okay, let me quickly start off sharing my screen, and do let me know once it is visible. Just a minute. Okay. I'm going to do it now. Let me know if it is visible now.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. It's coming up just to let you know it's PowerPoint only. We can't see your whole screen, it's just PowerPoint.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much for joining in, guys. My name is Sunil Kumar. I'm also known as Power Trainer. So this session is particularly on Power Platform licensing, just to understand it. What are the seeded license? What are the premium licenses? How Dataverse how you can access Dataverse, and a little bit more information around Power Platform licensing. Right? Okay, let's quickly get started. So the first thing first is the Power Apps licensing. I know licensing is a bit of a confusing topic, but I'll try myself to make this as much as clear I can, and feel free to jump in. Anyways, at the end, we do have a query session open for everyone, and feel free to let me know if you have any queries regarding that. Now, specifically, we are talking about Power Platform today. So Power Platform, and to name the products which we are licensing, of the products which we are going to talk about are Power Apps, Power Automate. Then we have Copilot Studio, formerly known as Power Virtual Agents. And then we have Power Pages. So these are the four major products which we are going to talk about. We are not going to talk about the Power BI licensing as of today. That we can take up in any of the next sessions when we go in deep on the Power BI functionalities and then the licensing. So now coming back to the Power Apps licensing. Now, from the premium licensing perspective, Power Apps has two licenses. One is, just give me a moment, I'll quickly get the laser on. Okay, so now, first of all, we have the Power Apps Premium. This is a user-based license. So when I say user-based license, each user need to be assigned this license. And at present, the cost is $20 per user per month. Right? And it used to be higher, and it has been slashed last year by Microsoft to 50%. Now it is $20 per user per month. Each user who gets assigned this particular license would be able to access multiple things. first of all, Power Apps, which has premium connectors added to those. So now when I say premium connectors, I'll just bring on another point, which is what are connectors? So connectors are is a package, basically is a package of APIs using which you can connect to different applications, right? Different APIs. So those connectors are basically the bunch of a package of APIs and then the separate endpoints. Using those, any user can connect to different third-party systems. For example, to SQL and to Salesforce. It could be, let's say, Box.net, even SharePoint, right? And then the thing here is that using Power Apps Premium license, user can access the standard as well as premium connectors. So premium connectors are the connectors which are denoted by diamond in Power Platform. Those are the services which are paid premium services. So based on those particular connectors, premium connectors can be accessed if a user is having a Power Apps premium uh, license, Power Apps license. Now, there is one another thing. Okay, the one another subscription is Power Apps per app uh, license. So now, when I say per app license, as the name suggests, this one is only for one such application. So let's say if you create an application which is using premium connectors, and I'm the one user who is having one Power Apps per app license, and I will be able to access only one application. This has to be tagged to it, right? So the only one application I'll be able to access. Now, if I'm having Power Apps per app license, which is again $5 per user per month at this cost, and then if let's say the development team has created another application and I want to get access to that. In that case, either I need to have another Power App per app license, or better to slash all the per app licenses and gain a Power Apps premium license. So these are the two ways. Now another is the Power Apps app pay as you go. So in this particular type of licenses, these are not these licenses are basically again a per user type of licenses, but these licenses gets tagged on the environment basis. So any environment, we need to connect it to Azure subscription, and then the users would be able to use the applications created within those environments, that particular environment specifically. And as that particular environment is connected to Azure subscription, any of the charges will be incurred via Azure subscription. So now when you say $10 per active user per month, so let's say I'm one of the user who have not used one application in 1 month. So Azure subscription won't be getting charged for that, right? So that's where the active user is the key term here to note, right? Now, Power Apps use, basically consumption, is also included in other set of licenses, like other set of Dynamics 365 licenses, and certain Office 365 and M365 licenses also. Now, we will come to these also. Okay, let's see what we can access using Power Apps Premium. So when we say Power Apps Premium, so we can run the custom applications. We can run the custom websites also. Now, when I say custom websites, these are the Power Pages websites. Okay, so we can run those also as well. Run workflow with custom apps. So we can run the workflow from custom apps as well. Now, there is another way to understand. Let's say I'm having now I'm bit going into the next topic also from here. So bear with me on that. What happens is, for example, today I'm creating a Canvas application, okay, or a model driven application, and I have created an instant flow with Power Apps trigger. What does this mean is I have a Canvas screen, one screen. I have created one button. When I click on submit from that button, a Power Automate should get triggered. So that is called as instant Power Automate with the Power Apps trigger, right? In this case, what happens is any of the uh, Power Automate which has a premium connectors, right? I would be able to access or trigger it directly from the Power Apps itself because of the simple reason that I'm the user who is having Power Apps premium access, right? In this case, the Power Automate the Power Automate which are having the premium actions, the Power Automate does not have to have the specific premium license. Or as a user, I do not have to have a Power Automate premium license, right? The reason behind that is because that particular Power Automate is a Power Apps trigger automate and is getting initiated from the Power Apps, right? So that is the simplest explanation to this. Now, along with that, along with
Sunil, we've lost your sound. We've lost you.
am I audible now?
Yep. Back.
No?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so I was talking about AI Builder. Now, with all the premium licenses, we do get AI Builder credits also. Now, you might ask, where do we use AI Builder credits? So now these service credits is a common currency which gets consumed for any of the AI services, right? It could be AI prompts, it could be document intelligence, right? So, and these currency, this particular credits, you can, first of all, it gets added up or it gets credited with any of the license you get, right? A certain amount of, and then on top of it, it can be purchased as well. Now, we have on a different Power Platform connectors. We talked about standard and premium connectors, right? So now Power Apps Premium, yes, we can access the standard connectors. We can access the premium and custom connectors also. Now, we talked about standard and premium connectors. What are custom connectors? So custom connectors are nothing but, as the name suggests, these are the custom connectors which are built on demand by any of the developer of an application. When we need to develop these is we have the APIs existing for the platform for the application where we want to connect, but we do not have the Power Automate. We do not have the connectors already built from the Microsoft side. Okay, so that is the case when we actually need to go ahead and build the custom connectors. Now, for example, I'll give you one example. DocuSign is one of the e-signature portal for which the connector is already available, which is a premium connector. So we can go ahead and use it. Now, a competitor of DocuSign is Circularo. So Circularo is also another e-signature portal, right? Which does not have the premium connector built already, but it has whole lot of APIs and endpoints available in their developer section of the website. We can pick and choose all those APIs and respective endpoints which we want to consume in our particular use case, and we can build a custom connector out of that. Now, it helps us to connect to the on-premise and cloud services data transfers also, right? Now, it also comes from the perspective that we can also go ahead and install the on-premise data gateways. And these on-premise data gateways, as the name suggests, it's first of all on-premise and then the data gateways. So these are actually a tunnel established between the cloud and the on-prem system to gain access to the data. It helps us to operate on the CRUD operations. From the Dataverse standpoint, using Power Apps Premium, we get the full Dataverse access. Then we can go ahead easily create and access custom tables also. Right? Dataverse database capacity also is acquired uh, to the tenant organization tenant or the environment, which is 250 MB in this particular case. Now, Dataverse does not only have the database capacity, it has Dataverse file capacity also. This also gets acquired to the environment and the organization tenant, which is 2 GB. Along with that, from the managed environment perspective, we can go ahead and access we can administer and do the governance as well, right? In the similar way, we do get all the capabilities, all the features, right? But to a certain limit where it says that for Power Apps per app license, either we can access one app or one website. Right? And then there is a limit of 250 credits from the AI builder credits. And then from the Dataverse standpoint, we get 50 MB of database capacity and 400 MB of file capacity. Okay. From the pay as you go, we get access to one app only, no website access here in this particular case. Right? And then we get a lot of other features also. Now let's quickly switch to the Power Automate. So now here is the Power Automate licensing. Now, Power Automate licensing, these Power Automate licensing is for only, first of all, this Power Automate licensing is only for those Power Automates which are not triggered directly from Power Apps or from Copilot. Okay. So you remove that case where any of the Power Automate is getting triggered from either Power Apps or from Copilots. Those are specific Power Automate instant Power Automate Power Automates uh, which are having Power Apps trigger or the Copilot trigger. Okay, we are talking about all the rest of the Power Automates here.
I did not know that. That's really interesting, actually. So if you have a Power App, you could leverage all sorts of Power Automation, and the only license the user needs is a Power App license, not Power App plus Power Automate.
Yes, the reason behind that is because the Power Apps Premium license is gonna take care of your initiation of the Premium Power Automate.
Yeah, that's an easy money save. I'm just thinking now.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen lots of instances where people have both licenses.
Exactly.
I did not know that. I can save
Now
some
here,
money.
yes. So here we are talking about the Power Automates, which are instant Power Automates. For example, manually triggered Power Automates, right? The scheduled Power Automates, the automated Power Automates, event-driven Power Automates. So we are talking about those Power Automates here, right? So whenever we build any, I'll just take an example of scheduled Power Automate, a Power Automate which runs on a particular schedule on a daily basis, monthly basis, whatever it could be, right? I'm talking about those. Any Power Automate which has a premium connector being used within that, right? I'll take an example of Dataverse. Get items or get records from Dataverse. This particular action, if I'm using, which is a premium action, any other premium action also I can use, right? Automatically, the Power Automate becomes a premium Power Automate. So now if the Power Automate is a premium Power Automate, we need to have the Power Automate Premium or Power Automate process license to run that. Right. Now, talking about the Power Automates, first of all, cloud flows, which are automated, instant, and scheduled flows. Yes, we can go ahead and run those using Power Automate Premium, which is $15 per user per month. This is the actual cost. Right. Then we have business process flows. So these are the BPFs which we generally use in model-driven applications. Right. So these are also accessible. Attended desktop flows. So attended desktop flows are the ones which need a user triggered initiation, right? We cannot use the unattended desktop flows from here. So unattended desktop flows are basically the desktop flows which gets triggered automatically at a certain event or a schedule. Right? Process mining, we can use these for task mining, for cloud process mining integration, then visualize and analyze the processes. So a couple of other capabilities, right? We can always go ahead and share and collaborate also. Right? Other users can view, edit, run the automation also. Now view, edit, it comes from the permission that you need to give them a certain permission to this particular Power Automate. That's how they will be able to do that particular Power Automate modifications. If the user is having that, they will be able those permissions. And if they have the Power Automate premium access, premium license, they would be able to go ahead and use all these functions as well. From the connectors perspective, Power Automate Premium, as it suggests, it can access standard connectors such as SharePoint. It can access premium connectors such as Dataverse, Box, right? And then it can also help us to create custom connectors such as Circularo or any other API based connectors, custom connectors. For example, Abu Dhabi Police or Dubai Police, if they have those APIs open to be used, right? On-prem and cloud SVC data transfers, so cloud flows and all, we can use that. Now, this also comes with the certain amount of service credits, right? Which are 5,000 in this case. Then for Dataverse, yes, we can access the user rights. There is a certain amount of database capacity which gets accrued to your tenant or your environment. We have certain amount of file capacity. Similarly, the next one is Power Automate process. Now, it is interesting that the former name of Power Automate process was uh, Power Automate per flow plan. So when I say per flow plan, it means that uh, this can be accessed, this can be tagged to only one flow. Now, the cost is $150 per bot per month. Now, one of the most interesting uh, point to mention here is to initiate this particular Power Automate, any Power Automate, which is now this particular license is not user based, right? Unlike others, till whatever we discussed till now, this is flow based license or a bot based license. So bot is connected to this license, not any user. So what does this mean is any user can go ahead and trigger these. Not necessarily they need to have a Power Apps Premium or other license. Even if they don't have Power Apps Premium license, they can go ahead and initiate the Power Automate process. The simple reason behind that is because all the licensing is being already taken care by the bot itself. So the licensing is not dependent on the user now. It is on the bot itself. So that's the beauty of this kind of Power Automate license, process-based license, right? As the name suggests, again, if I have one Power Automate process, which I want to tag it to Power Automate process license, there will be one license required for that. The number of flows which needs to have the Power Automate process based license, the individual, each one of those need to have those certain that type of license, right? Again, now the difference here is that this has unattended access flow, desktop flow access also. This is the beauty of it. Now it comes with, there are certain limitations. As you can see that we cannot access all these other things, but then we have the 5,000 as the service credits, which we get on a tenant base. on a Dataverse environment base also, we can tag those two particular environment as well. And based on that, we can go ahead and use that. Power Automate per user, Power Automate per flow. This was the initial one actually, which has been renamed and added a lot of more capabilities here. Okay. Go to the next one. Okay, we are talking about the Copilot Studio based license now. Now, the interesting part here is, again, I'll come back to this. Any Power Automate, I'll start from the Power Automate, right? Let's say I create a bot. I create a Copilot Studio bot, chatbot, right? Conversational based bot. And then I want to initiate a Power Automate from here, which has a Copilot Studio based trigger. Just like we have Power Apps trigger, we have Copilot Studio based trigger also, right? So these Copilot Studio based license is gonna take care of the any of the premium capabilities within that particular Power Automate, which has Copilot Studio based trigger. This is the beauty of it. Now, Copilot, unlike other licenses, Copilot Studio license is tenant based, right? It comes with the package of $200 per tenant per month, right? And then initially we had initially we used to have a conversation based licensing of Copilot Studio, or I would say the Power Virtual Agent licensing. But now it is based on messages, right? So it is based on any non-AI based message. Text gets a consumption of one message, if I'm not wrong. And then if any of the conversation which needs AI interaction, that consumes two messages out of this capacity, right? The output you create is a standalone Copilot from here, right? Copilot can be published to multiple different channels. It could be external web, FB, WhatsApp, internal channels, Teams, right? Now, Gen AI based conversation, yes, we can do that, right? And then create plugins to customize Microsoft Copilot. Those plugin needs to be created using Power Automate. So we need to use those in that way, right? So that's where it is not mentioned here. Build your own standalone Copilot, yes. Create and iterate the Copilot topic using expanded natural language capabilities. Definitely we can. We can create multiple topics, and the dynamic chaining automatically would be able to understand which particular topic to pick and answer based on the user's question, right? We can access the standard Power Platform connectors. We can access the premium Power Platform connectors also from here. That's already covered within this $200 per tenant per month limit. Right?
Just got to check so now. So $200 per tenant per month.
Yes.
If you have a Power App that uses premium connectors, does that the license is covered by the fact you've got a Copilot because it's a tenant license, or do we still need to have the Power Platform Premium Connect license?
Okay. Okay. Are we talking about Copilots or Power Apps?
Power Apps.
Power Apps. So Power Apps licensing are user-based licensing, not tenant-based license.
Yeah, that's honest. This Copilot though, it gives you premium connectors, but only within Copilot, or
only with Copilot.
Okay.
Only with Copilot. Yes. So only with Copilot means any of the Power Automate which is having the Copilot based trigger. Copilot as a trigger, just like we have Power Apps as a trigger for Power Automate, right? So in that sense.
There's a question as well from Rosie. Do users need a Copilot for Microsoft license at a user level to make use of custom Copilots?
1 second. Do users need Copilot for Microsoft 365 license. Copilot for Microsoft 365 license at user level to use interact with custom copilots. I'm not sure if I've understood the question here.
Hi, Sunil.
Hello.
The question is, so let's just say I, as a developer, use Copilot Studio and build like a custom Copilot that is, let's just say, embedded in Teams, for example. Do then the HR team, for example, do each of those individual users also need a Copilot license to interact with that Copilot?
There is no Copilot license. Copilot license is not for users, it's for tenant. So you are able to, okay, let me tell you in this way. You might be talking from the development standpoint. I'm talking, these licenses are from the consumption point of view. Consumer, these are the consumer-based license. So for example, let's say Sunil has built a Copilot Studio, a chatbot. Okay, now I want to deploy this, right? I want to deploy this to any of the channel. I do it for Teams channel, for example. Now, the consumers of this particular Copilot would gain access to operate on these, to consume these Copilots from the tenant based on the $200 per license per tenant per month. From that, it is from there. So there are two perspectives always. One is the developer's perspective and one is the consumer's perspective.
So I guess then a follow-on question is, do you need to have Copilot for Microsoft 365 then enabled to embed these custom Copilots?
No.
No.
Copilot for M365 is altogether a separate licensing that comes under $30 per month per user per month.
Yeah, I think that was my question. Like, do they need to have that
complete,
user license to interact
that's a complete
with these?
different licensing as well as the product also. And now I understand the simple reason behind that is because there are a whole lot of different Copilots with the same name, right? But Copilot Studio is entirely different from those first party Copilots. So when I say first party Copilots, I say the Copilot within Excel, Copilot within Power Platform, Power Apps, right? Copilot M365 chat, let's say, Copilot in Microsoft Word, Copilot in PowerPoint presentations. So those are first party Copilots. So Copilot Studio helps you to build a custom Copilot. Now, Copilot Studio also gives a further capability to enhance, to modify the first party Copilots as well. Right? But we cannot go ahead and create, as far as I understand till now, or that capability is not embedded yet. We cannot go ahead and create a first party Copilot using Copilot Studio, because that particular area is still reserved with Microsoft. We can only build our custom Copilots basically from using Copilot Studio. And these particular license are from the consumer standpoint.
It would be really interesting to see in practice how the licensing is actually applied, because like you say about the extensibility. So with Copilot Studio, the ability to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot, right? And like you say, can you, as a workaround, say, not that you would, but could you replicate like some of the Copilot for Microsoft 365 functionality yourself using Copilot Studio? When would it kick in and say, hold on, like you're using the wrong license?
When would it come from that licensing to this licensing, you mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because any of the custom Copilot will be following this licensing, not the Microsoft 365 chat licensing or that package licensing.
I guess there's a similarity with Power Apps and Dynamic 365.
Exactly.
In theory, yeah, you could recreate the entirety of Dynamics in Power Apps.
There are a bit of overlaps within D365 and Power Platform licensing also. We can get access to a whole lot of different Power Platform capabilities using D365 different licensings. Okay, so now let's talk about the last but the not least, Power Pages licensing. Now, this is a bit of a complicated one, so bear with me because there are different angles to look at this. First one is we'll talk about the developer based, like what do actually a developer need to build a Power Pages website, right? We talked about it. Any Power Apps premium license can access a website, so they can go ahead and build out. Right. So there are a whole lot of capabilities within Power Apps, Power Pages, which actually need the developer to have the Power Apps premium license. Okay. So that is the Microsoft 365 E5 license could also suffice in that case. So if in case for some of the capabilities, Microsoft 365 E5 or Office 365 E5 is not there to suffice, then a user or a developer can go ahead and request for a Power Apps premium license. Now, coming to the consumption point of view now, there are two particular ways how a user can consume the Power Pages site, any of the website. Two recommended options, basically. One is the authenticated user. Authenticated user are the users whose detail or whose account gets created, guest user, guest account gets created in the Azure Active Directory. So that becomes an authenticated user, right? So for authenticated user, this comes in a package of 100K plus users. And this is the tier 3 basically, right? $50 for 100 users like that. So this is the tier 3. There are tier 1, tier 2 also. So I'm not sure if this is the actual one, but tier 1 is where it starts. So it's 200. If I'm not wrong, it is $200 something for 100 users initially. Okay, I can quickly look that up. Just give me a minute. So I generally
like licensing is still complicated.
Yeah, I always refer Power Platform licensing guide, and Microsoft does always keep enhancing that and publishing that on a regular basis. So this is the tier 3 which is being shown here, but it starts from tier 1, right? It is one capacity pack for 100 plus users, and the cost is $200 per pack. So that's where it gets started. And then based on that, we can go for tier 2, tier 3, like that. Okay. So now tier 3 this is for more than 100,000 users. For example, if my website is gonna attract these many number of users, then I would go for tier 3 based capacity pack, and which will eventually cost me $50 for 100K users per month, like that. Okay. Now, what all a user can do if they have this, they can create, access, host, administer websites. They can secure access authentication. They will get that, right? They can use the standard connectors, premium connectors. Then this is also not user-based license. If you have understood it, right? This is also not user-based license. This is also a tenant-based license. And then Dataverse, they get full access to Dataverse. Those users can go ahead and create access. Now, keeping in mind these users need to have those permissions also, like the security permissions. If they have those security permissions, definitely they can go ahead and utilize these capabilities. In the similar way, the other one is the Power Pages anonymous users, right? For anonymous users, the tier one is for 500 plus users, and it is for $75 a pack. Now, anonymous users means these are the users which do not have to log into the Power Pages website. So that's the anonymous user. And then, okay, now any of the license also gives you a certain data verse capacity, I would say, right? So now any of the default premium will give you 10 GB. The file capacity will be 20 GB, and this is going to be acquired to the tenant or to the organization. In the similar way, we have for data for Power Automates also. In the similar way, we have Copilot Studio, Power Pages, right? And this is all about the Dataverse capacity which we get based on the different type of licenses and what gets secured to the tenant or the environment. Now, this is the most important and interesting part here, which is the seeded license, right? Not all the users are gonna go and would have the premium licenses of any sort. Okay, this is where it gets started from the start, right? Now, when any of the user generally any of the user would have Microsoft 365 E3, E5 or Office 365 E3, E5 license. So these are the general ones which any of the organization users get. Now, there are a whole lot of these are Microsoft license like Office packs, right? So we get a whole lot of different applications access also like Outlook, Teams, Planner, whole lot of different application access also we get. Along with that, we get access to Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio, and Dataverse for Teams as well. Right? As it says, it is limited use rights. Right now, I can go ahead and build. Let's say if a user has Office 365 E3 license, they can go ahead and build a Power Apps. The only limitation would be that that particular Power Apps need to have only the standard connectors. That's the whole story. In the similar way, they can go ahead and build the cloud flows also. But that cloud flow need to have the standard connectors or the free connectors, let's say. These license up till here cannot give user access to desktop flows. Right? Microsoft Copilot Studio for Teams. Simple. If the Copilot Studio is built and is published to Teams, they will be able to access it. Simple. Dataverse for Teams also they will get. So Dataverse for Teams is basically another way of Dataverse with the limited capacity, like 2 GB of data they get. Right? Any user having Office 365 E3, E5, and these licenses can even build a Power Apps or a Cloud Flows based on Dataverse for Teams also. So Dataverse for Teams is kind of a kind of a start access basically in that way, right? And then we have the Microsoft E3, E5 sort of licenses, and then we have the freelance. These are the F1, F3 licenses, right? Frontline workers licenses. So with this, we can get access to a whole lot of different stuff, different products here. So this was all about Power Platform licensing. I hope this made a little bit of your like whatever the queries you had. This must have clarified some of those. Now this is a proper session where we are still 10 minutes with our session. Feel free to share if you have any further queries, not only related to Power Platform licensing, overall in general, if also there is.
interested in the Power Pages.
What's the difference between Office 365A? Okay, I have got one question. Just a second. It's not coding. Okay, what's the difference between Office 365 A type and E type? Okay, so A is generally for students, right? So that's the student license we say about with the very less capabilities it has. It all depends on the number of products access you would be getting from, right? And then we have E license, which are enterprise license basically. Yes. So James has put this very clearly, but yes, feel free to compare it always, right? Always go to the Microsoft websites and you can get to know what all products of Office are involved, or would you get access? You would get access using academic license or enterprise license. So in general, enterprise license gives you a plethora of products access. But academic license would be having a little bit less, I would say. Yeah. Any other query?
I was wondering, you mentioned a website that you always relate to when you want to know something a little bit more about the licensing. Can you repeat it so I can actually go? Sometimes I have my own questions and I can answer the
Oh,
question.
okay. Yes, I will definitely put up the put up the link here. Okay. And I can even put the latest licensing documentation as well. I will put up in the chat, or I will be sharing it over the LinkedIn also, or I'll share it with James. It's publicly available on the internet. If you search for Microsoft licensing guide February 2024, you will get that.
So they do release it like every month or every like quarter or stuff like that.
Not every month, I would say, but whenever there is a substantial change,
yeah,
we will get that notified.
recently,
Yes.
I would say. Yeah.
So
Okay.
the nerds like me are always in lookout for any new changes and to be updated with those.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, James, I cut you off. You were saying something.
No, it's fine, not a problem. I was just asking about Power Pages. Before the call started, I was showing Sunil some things I've done outside of the Microsoft world, and I'm wondering whether Power Pages is something that might fit that same use. Basically, giving end users the ability to update, create new records, delete records. So kind of like a visual interface on top of a database backend. I've done it completely outside of the Microsoft world. And I'm wondering whether Power Pages is a suitable way of doing it in the Microsoft world.
I have a little bit more insight also based on our previous discussion that the backend database which is being used is the SQL one.
Yeah, Azure,
right?
yeah, Microsoft Azure SQL DB. So.
Correct. So now the best solution to this would be using the Dataverse virtual tables.
Okay.
Okay, so these virtual tables are the reference to your actual database, right? And on these virtual tables, you can operate or you can use all the CRUD operations and everything will be reflected in your backend. So you do not have to every time call the APIs back and forth, which could eventually have some delay in the performance.
So I was thinking about the licensing for Power Pages. If
Yes.
it's was it $50 for 100?
No. So there are three tiers basically: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. It all depends on the number of users which are going to consume your website, right? So it depends on that. So now
if that way,
let's
yeah.
take it.
Go on, yeah.
Let's
To
take
do the full
it from
example.
the start. Yes, let's take it from the start. Tier 1, it has a capacity of like one capacity pack you can get for this is generally for 100 plus users, like around approximately 100 users, and this cost is $200 per pack. per tenant per month, sorry, right? And now with this particular pack, this is for authenticated users. And definitely, if you want users in your particular use case, users would need to do the CRUD operations, right? So they would need the authenticated license, simple. So this is the tier 1, and then the tier 2, tier 3, the eventual cost of the license will get reduced as the number of your consumer increases.
Would they, what I'm trying to think is, obviously a Power App could be a nice visual way of doing CRUD operations on a database, but it's a premium connector, so they all need to have a premium license. If the Power Pages website was set up to do CRUD operations on Dataverse Virtual, which pushes to, would they still need premium licenses each, or would they just be able to pay for the Power Pages capacity? That's the question.
It will be just for the Power Pages capacity. The developer who would need to develop these, maybe 1 or 2 developers or 3 developers, based on the extensibility of the app of the website, they would need Power Apps Premium if some of the capabilities are not being accessed using the M365 E3 or E5 licenses. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely interesting though that use, in my opinion, as you suggested.
Yeah. So virtual table is the is a really good way of working if you are going to connect, if you are going to work, or if you have a use case where you are connecting to third-party databases, for example, SQL, Salesforce, Oracle, right? So virtual tables are a lifesaver there.
Does Teams Dataverse have virtual tables as well?
I don't think so, because of the limited capacity.
I mean,
That could be
a
one of the
virtual table.
reasons.
I'm
not sure yet. I haven't tried it, but yes, it's worth a try. I'll try it and let you know.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I did put in the chat as well. There's an F, which is a frontline license.
It's a frontline one. Yes.
It is really cheap, but it's quite
so as the name suggests, frontline licenses are for the frontline workers which do not operate on a laptop on a daily basis. So they are out there in the field using their mobile or tablet based access. They get access to very limited apps from the Microsoft Office 365, and they can still go ahead and access some of the applications like Power Apps, Power Automate, like these kind of applications. But again, there are like different F1, F3, F5 like that licenses also. Yes, Rose.
Thank you. It's just a quick one. You probably already answered this question earlier on, so sorry if you did. Going back to Power Apps licensing, the per app, per user license that was like dirt cheap. It's no longer on the price. It's no longer on Microsoft's website on the pricing. And I did hear some rumors that that's going to be done away with. And I just wanted to know if you'd heard anything about that. And if you have, when is that going to happen?
No. See, Microsoft has not published any such news publicly yet that they are not going to continue with this. This is going to be deprecated. There is no such information as of today because of the. So I have this information because I talk to a lot of Microsoft guys also on almost daily basis around licensing or some or the other topic. So yes, there is no such information as of now publicly out yet that they are going to deprecate this one. However, it is also not recommended. If you see here, it is also not recommended, right? The simple reason behind that is because it bounds the particular user to access only one application. So there is hardly any point. There's no point in having that unless the team is definitely sure that this particular user, this particular set of users are not going to access any more application than this. So that's where these options are there. From the enterprise standpoint, definitely they ought to give these options. They have to, right? But eventually also if you also can do a little bit of calculation, just try thinking in a way that Microsoft Power Apps per app license, let's say any user who wants to access 2 or 3 applications, right? Then there is no point of having per app 3 license, which is around $15. Rather than that, we can get a $20 premium license, which will have a lot of more functionalities as well, capabilities also, right? So eventually it is the game of capabilities rather than the cost of the license.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah.
It's we have a very specific use case where we have a subset of users that
Yeah.
for commercial reasons we want to use this per app license. But yeah, no, I can understand if this is used in the kind of standard way, as like an internal facing enterprise solution, which is ultimately what it is
Yeah.
designed to be
So
used for,
one-
and
one
what
such-
we're not using it for, then I can understand that the premium one would be generally better.
Yeah. One such use case is like, let's say I create an application and that needs to be accessed by external users, right? So yeah, this is another information I'm just sharing. We are already past the limited time. So I'll just share one quick thing that Power Apps can be shared externally also. So external users can also access Power Apps. And if there is such need that external users need to access the application and the enterprise, the organization are very much sure that there is just only going to be one such application which external user need to access, it's better to go ahead with per app license for external users. Yeah.
So the way maybe I'm being simplistic, and I'll let you go because I know we're over time. It just seems to me if you're going to have 4 or less Power Apps in use, it kind of makes sense to go Power Apps per app. If you're going to have more Power Apps, then go with Power Apps Premium because then you get more. That to me is the simple logic.
That's the simple logic, but I would say rather than 4, make it 3. The reason behind that is because 3 plus a lot of different capabilities. Let's go in that way.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, I think that was a good session. Thank you so much, James, for giving me this podium. And thank you so much, guys, to join in and listen to me. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Good.
Sunil.
Cheers, Sunil.
Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
See you
Thanks,
later.
everyone. Cheers.
Cheers, Aaron. Bye.